There are few moves that strike as much fear into the hearts of Nuzlockers as Explosion. It's the most powerful move in the Pokémon series with 250 base power, and the inherently violent nature of the move only adds to the apprehension. For the most part though, Explosion and Self-Destruct don't show up very often in the vanilla games, and when they do, they're usually pretty easy for Nuzlockers to plan around. But what if we were to do something utterly diabolical, like, say, giving every single trainer in FireRed access to Explosion? And not just every trainer, but every single Pokémon that each trainer has. Suddenly, it's not just exploding electrodes we have to worry about. Introducing exploding Caterpies, Pikachus, Poliwags, and even Magikarps. But wait, there's more! We can't forget about the terrifying Pokémon that can now explode, including Machamp, Gyarados, Weezing, oh wait, they always do that, and even Dragonite. Believe it or not, of the 1,000 plus Pokémon that now exist, there are only 2 normal type Pokémon that can learn Explosion. But under these new conditions, we have now given nearly 20 Pokémon access to a move that deals a whopping 375 base damage with Stab. But given that Explosion also halves the defense of the target, this functionally changes to 750 power, which is absurd. Suddenly, even getting through the beginning of the game is terrifying because of all the Pidgeys and Rattatas we have to contend with. How did I implement Explosion? Trainer Pokémon with fewer than 4 moves were simply given Explosion to an empty move slot. Pokémon with 4 moves had their worst move replaced. Let's talk about the rules, which are also included in the description. It's basically a Hardcore Nuzlocke, but I'm also banning Pokémon and moves that could be abused against Explosion. Let's jump in, shall we? At Professor Oak's lab, we obtain a Bulbasaur and nickname him Bubba. In our first rival battle, because Bubba does less attack damage than Charmander, we have Bubba get off a couple of growls, while Charmander retaliates with 2 scratches. For the rest of the battle, Bubba and Charmander take turns dealing extremely powerful blows to each other. Eventually, Bubba comes out on top with a knockout blow. With the first battle in the books, I begin to ask myself a question that has some important implications. How willing is a trainer to use Explosion when they only have 1 Pokémon left? Before we encounter any more trainers, we add a few more Pokémon to the party, give a warm welcome to Raz the Rattata from Route 1, Sable the Spearow from Route 22, Pex the Pidgey on Route 2, and Buzz the Kakuna from Viridian Forest. Because of the heightened danger in every single trainer battle, we are going to be avoiding all optional encounters unless we are confident we can one-hit KO the Pokémon. The last trainer in Viridian Forest, however, is unavoidable and must be battled to progress the game. A gust from Pex does not knock Weedle out, but once again, a trainer on their last Pokémon abstains from using Explosion, which gives us our opening to take him out for good. The fight against Brock is soon over as quickly as it began. There's no meaningful way to counter the Grass-type moves from Bubba as he obliterates both Geodude and Onix. It is also becoming increasingly clear that trainers are very reluctant to use Explosion when down to their last Pokémon. After all, why throw a battle if you still have a theoretical chance of winning? On the way to Route 3, one of Professor Oak's aides delivers us a pair of running shoes from Mom. Maybe one day she might even love me. Route 3 is our first real test of the run, as we will have to battle these 3 trainers to progress further, and all of them have multiple Pokémon. Fortunately, Raz now knows Hyper Fang, which she does not miss a single time, and we get through Route 3 unscathed. Meanwhile, our catch of the route is a Nidoran named Spike, which we evolve into Nidorino, and we also take this time to evolve Buzz into Beedrill and Bubba into Ivysaur. Inside Mount Moon, we nab a Zubat and nickname him Zed. In this location, there are only 2 mandatory trainers, both of whom can be found at the very end of the dungeon. The first battle goes off without issue, but Raz whiffs on the first Hyper Fang in the second battle. This is, quite literally, our first instance of an opponent's Pokemon still being alive, and not being their last Pokemon either. We look out though, as Grimer counters Raz with Pound. Coughing comes in after Grimer and tanks our Hyper Fang. It's another perfect opening to punish us, but instead, Coughing misses on the Smog. Once Coughing is neutralized, Voltorb is brought out, but they fortunately can't withstand the Hyper Fang. Somehow, we have made it through Mount Moon without any casualties. Before challenging Blue in front of Nugget Bridge, Pex evolves into Pidgeotto, Spike evolves into Nidoking, and Raz evolves into Raticate. We also swipe an Ekans from Route 4 and nickname her Aurora. This upcoming rival fight has me quite nervous, as he has two normal-type Pokemon. If they tank or evade a hit and use a stab-powered explosion, whichever Pokemon I have in battle is basically as good as dead, fully evolved or not. Pidgeotto comes out and I really need Hyper Fang to knock him out. Huge. Abra proves to be child's play and goes down to a single quick attack. Rattata is too weak to overcome a Hyper Fang, and Charmander also meets the same fate. I absolutely adore Raz and the work she's putting in right now. I'm buying you a fancy hammock later, you little rascal. There's no time to rest, however, as we now have to take on the gauntlet of trainers on Nugget Bridge. I'm also about to hit the level cap with Raz, so I will have to turn to other Pokemon with less reliable moves, and I'm not looking forward to it. After reaching the level cap with Raz, we let Aurora take the reins against the Rocket Grunt's Ekans. I'm hoping we can get the flinch, but we don't, and Ekans responds with the dreaded move. At least Ekans won't KO Aurora because we're 6 levels higher and already lowered his attack, right? Wrong. Brutal. We avenge Aurora with Spike, and then immediately make a beeline to the Pokemon Center to give our friend the proper send-off. Rest in peace, Aurora. Now, I'm obviously not going to show every instance of Explosion, but a battle on Route 25 proves that having a 3rd stage Pokemon against a 1st stage Pokemon is no silver bullet, even when you're 6 levels higher. A critical hit here from Nidoran would have killed Spike easily. Going for Peck instead of Mega Punch was a blunder, and I'm fortunate that Spike is still alive. After that close call, I play the rest of the route safer than a paranoid basketball team refusing to pull their best players from the game when they're up by 100 points. Our caution pays off, as we make it all the way to Bell without any more drama. Once we're back in Cerulean City, we challenge Misty to a battle and lead with our MVP and rat extraordinaire. Raz makes mincemeat of Misty's first Pokemon, Staryu. Starmie comes out next and leaves Raz in a confused state. Not wanting to take any chances, I pull Raz out and bring out Buzz. It's a risky maneuver as Starmie hits Buzz with 2 consecutive water pulses, but fortunately, they both deal non-critical damage. Buzz answers with a Twin Needle, and we now have our 2nd gym badge. Before heading south toward Vermilion City, I realized I had a brain fart and never triggered any encounters north of Cerulean City. We get some nice Bubba insurance on Route 24 by catching Buddy the Oddish, and then we snatch an Abra on Route 25 and nickname him Tricky. We add him to the team and train him until he evolves into Kadabra. En route to Vermilion City, we catch a Meowth on Route 5 and nickname her Spicy. Later, we venture into Diglett's cave and... I hope you're sitting down when you hear this. We catch a Diglett. We end up naming her Debbie. Meanwhile, Hypnotoad the Drowsy is our encounter for Route 11. In the midst of training Pex, I accidentally trigger a battle with this trainer. Even worse, Pex almost certainly cannot take Pidgey out in one hit. I also don't want to switch out because Pex is probably the most expendable member on the team other than Buzz, and I also have a Spearow in the PC. One quick attack later, Pidgey does a stab explosion and knocks Pex out. Raz, steady as ever, avenges Pex by knocking out the final 2 Pidgeys. Rest in peace, Pex. Next, we are forced onto a cruise ship, which to me seems like a fantastic way of microdosing being in hell. Anyways, Pidgeotto goes down to Raz's Hyper Fang, then proceeds to knock out the copycat Raticate. Raz then lifts on the Hyper Fang, but Kadabra uses Kinesis. I consider swapping Mons, but decide to stick it out, and I'm rewarded with a one-hit KO. Charmeleon then goes down to a combination of Hyper Fang and Quick Attack. Right before getting out of this wretched place, we toss a coin in the puke well and make a wish. For the Surge fight, I enlist the help of Debbie. But before we get to that, if you wanted to see something adorable explode violently, look no further. That never gets old. Back to the Surge fight, I worry about the variability of magnitude, so I decide to stick to Dig for Surge's first two Pokemon, even though Pikachu has Static. Unfortunately, Static gets triggered and I'm left with a paralyzed Debbie to deal with Raichu. Having to evade paralysis for 2 turns is too risky, so I switch to Magnitude and am immediately rewarded with a Magnitude 9. The Thunder Badge is ours. Shortly after this battle, Debbie evolves into Dugtrio, while Sable evolves into Fearow. Unfortunately, we have already exhausted all the Pokemon options on Route 9, but we do add Zaps the Voltorb on Route 10, and Muscle Bob the Geodude from Rock Tunnel, who then evolves into Graveler. After traveling through Rock Tunnel with careful planning, we make it to Lavender Town without incident. Our sights are on Celadon City next, so along the way we capture Fluffy the Growlithe on Route 8. Before we challenge Erica, we make a brief stop at Route 16 and add a Doduo to the party named Dude. For the Celadon Gym, we lead with Sable. Erica's first 2 Pokemon each go down to a single fly, but then I pivot to Aerial Ace against Vileplume, which was the wrong play. I got too cute. Vileplume responds by putting Sable to sleep with its nasty swamp-ass smelling sleep powder. We then bring in our backup plan, Dude, while Erica uses her turn to heal. One fly isn't enough to take Vileplume out, but Vileplume retaliates with an ineffective Giga Drain. One more fly seals the deal, and we now have half of the Kanto badges. Prior to making the descent into Rocket Hideout, Bubba evolves into Venusaur. As I walk into the game corner, I'm reminded how we used to live in a society that hated the mass proliferation of gambling. Nowadays, you can't consume any kind of programming without being bombarded by a prodigious amount of gambling ads. But rest assured, viewer, if this channel ever becomes monetized, I will sell my soul and betray all of my morals in service of that parasitic industry. Anyways, we send out Muscle Bob for the fight against Giovanni. Onix outspeeds and uses Explosion, which only wipes away about a quarter of Muscle Bob's health. Kangaskhan comes out next, and I'm in a heap of trouble. With a 95 base attack, an Explosion is probably going to kill everything else in my party, even at full health. I'm hoping Kangaskhan opts for a different move, but instead, Kangaskhan instructs her baby to just look at the flowers right before blowing up. Unfortunately, the collateral damage knocks Muscle Bob out as well. Afterward, Bubba takes out Rhyhorn and we defeat Giovanni, but at a heavy cost. Rest in peace, Muscle Bob. Before circling back to Lavender Town, we obtain Eevee in Celadon City and nickname him Doggo, then purchase a Thunderstone to evolve him into Jolteon. In the fight against our rival, I overestimate the strength of Secret Power and Pidgeotto responds with a Sand Attack. Despite the accuracy loss, Raz lands a Quick Attack and knocks Pidgeotto out. Execute is brought out and I decide to stick with Raz. Hyper Fang is not strong enough to take out Execute, and then Raz is lulled into a nap. I swap in Sable only to be caught off guard by Execute quite literally executing itself. Sable survives, but we're now in a bad spot. We take Kadabra out without issue, but the dicey situation is only compounded when Gyarados is sent out. I use Fly, which is partially an attempt to bait Gyarados into exploding, but he doesn't fall for it. After wiping out over half of Gyarados' health, I go for Fly again, but I get a bad roll and Gyarados survives. Not only that, Gyarados breaks through the confusion and puts Sable in her grave with another Thrash. Shoot. I sent out Doggo for mop-up duty against Gyarados, and then he smacks Charmeleon around with 2 shockwaves. After the conclusion to the battle, we rush to the Pokemon Center to say our final goodbyes. Rest in peace, Sable. Because ghost types are banned, we re-roll our Pokemon Tower encounter until we stumble across a Cubone, whom we nickname Mr. Buddy. Dude fills the vacancy in our party left from Sable, and he quickly evolves into Dodrio. Additionally, as per the trait evolution standards of the universal randomizer we're using, Tricky evolves into Alakazam at level 37, which seems pretty reasonable to me. In Fuchsia City, the Koga fight proves to be the most trivial battle yet, as Tricky takes everything out with a single Psychic. 3 more badges to go. After our encounter in the Safari Zone flees, we welcome a bunch of Pokemon into the fold. Say hello to Polly the Poliwag from Viridian City, Mars the Magikarp from Cerulean City, Goldie the Goldeen from Fuchsia City, Venus the Venonat from Route 15, and Pasta the Diddle from Route 14, a very angry raccoon from a dumpster in the alley, Mr. Krabs the Krabby from Route 13, Sally the Snorlax from Route 12, Quax the Psyduck from Route 6, and finally, Pisces the Pikachu from the power plant. Quax soon evolves into Golduck, and our team is coming along nicely, just in time for a trio of important fights in Saffron City. The first pivotal fight is against our rival. Doggo responds to Pidgeot's quick attack with a knockout Thunderbolt. Execute comes out, and I attempt to flinch him with Bite, but instead, Doggo gets paralyzed. Not great. I try to keep my faith in Doggo, and I'm rewarded with a knockout quick attack. Alakazam is brought out and sets up with Calm Mind, while Doggo brings Alakazam to half health with a Bite. It might seem foolish to remain in battle, but besides Explosion, Alakazam only has 1 attacking move, and it doesn't deal damage right away. We repeat this set of moves for the next turn, and then Doggo beats Alakazam to the punch with a quick attack. Gyarados is up next, and I've got no choice but to have Doggo stay in, as a Gyarados-powered explosion would surely destroy anything in my party. Instead, Gyarados goes for the Bite, doesn't get the flinch, and Doggo zaps Gyarados into oblivion with a timely Thunderbolt. Charizard is Blue's last Pokemon, and I'm very confident he will not explode, so I call on Quax to finish the job. He shrugs off a flamethrower and retaliates with a powerful Surf that sweeps away Charizard. I cannot believe Doggo survived all of those consecutive one-on-one battles. Incredible. Up next is a fight I'm quite nervous for. I don't think I have anything that can knock out Giovanni's bulky Kangaskhan in one hit. Tricky is probably my best bet, and he naturally matches up very nicely against the rest of Giovanni's team anyways. I really hope I don't regret this. Nidorino is simple enough and is put out of commission with a single hit. However, Giovanni calls on Kangaskhan next, and I have nothing to do but to cross my fingers on this one. Kangaskhan tanks the Psychic, and then uses... Rage?
Bruh.
Alrighty then. We make Giovanni pay for his blunder, and soon enough, his entire team is rendered useless. After obtaining Larry the Lapras in Saffron City, we head over to Sabrina's gym. Alright dude, it's your turn to shine. Honestly, I don't even need to show you the footage. Instead, here's a crappy drawing to signify how boned Sabrina's team was from the very beginning. They never stood a chance against Dude with those putrid defenses, and every drill pack was a one-hit KO. I circle back to Vermilion City to capture Blooper the Horsey, then head back to Pallet Town. As we travel south, we catch Sasquatch the Tangela on Route 21, Coffee the Coughing in Pokemon Mansion, and our Helix fossil is revived into Crawley the Ammonite on Cinnabar Island. The Blaine fight also proves to be quite a snooze fest, as Quax crushes all 4 of his Pokemon with a single Surf. Next, we add more insurance for Quax by catching Joel the Tentacool on Route 20, and Arphy the Seal in the Seafoam Islands. We make one final stop at Viridian City to challenge Giovanni, who, curiously, is without his Kangaskhan. When we ask him about it, Giovanni hands us a VHS tape without comment and points to the TV inside his office. On the VHS is a taped recording of the latest episode of Judge Judy, where Giovanni is being sued by Kangaskhan, who claims that she was forced to use Explosion against her own will, severely injuring both her and her baby in the blast. Ultimately, Judge Judy orders that Giovanni must release the 2 Kangaskhans from his ownership and pay 5 million Pokédollars in damages. Sucks to suck, man. It must also really suck when none of your Pokemon can even fight back against Quacks because he is way too strong for you. Now give us our badge and our money, you sadistic scumbag. Up next is a quick visit to the Sevi Islands to trigger more encounters, which we also do in part to appease Bill, who won't shut the hell up about it. We've already exhausted our options in most of these locations, but we do manage to get more recruits for our team, including Abyss the Shelter from one island, Rapid Gary the Rapidash on Kindle Road, Michael the Machop on Mount Ember, and Egghead the Execute in Berry Forest. Once we return to the mainland, we challenge Blue in our most difficult fight yet. I've decided to make Spike a dual physical and special attacker for this fight, which I was already planning on doing anyways because of its rash nature. An Ice Beam attack freezes Pidgeot out of the battle. Spike then skewers Alakazam with a Mega Horn. Gyarados is then electrified with a lethal Thunderbolt. We try the same move on Charizard, but he manages to stay in battle and counters with a strong Flamethrower. After one more Thunderbolt, Blue replaces Charizard with his Rhyhorn, but it's futile against Spike's Ice Beam. Spike connects on another Mega Horn and takes the wind out of our rival's sails. What a legendary performance. You dropped this, King. Our final catch of the run is Big Rock the Onyx from Victory Road. As we walk into Indigo Plateau, here's one last look at our final team. At the front of our party is Doggo, our veritable speed demon. Next is Bubba, our respected elder of the group. We then have Spike, our versatile X-Factor. Tricky is the best glass cannon a trainer could ask for. Dude is our pesky Pokemon with a voracious appetite for chaos. Finally, Quacks is the all-around star of the team. And with that, it's time to begin the most difficult challenge of the game. Doggo leads off against Lorelei and makes quick work of Dugong. It's an identical story for Cloyster and Slowbro 2. Lapras, forever a tank, survives Doggo's Thunderbolt and does an Ice Beam attack that depletes less than 1/3 of Doggo's health. After Lorelei refuses to give up and uses one full restore, and then another on her Lapras, she finally relents and gives us an opening to knock Lapras from the battle. Lorelei is now down to her final Pokemon in Jinx. I try to induce a flinch, but we instead get a lovely kiss. I bring out Tricky, but Jinx uses Attract and he is instantly weak in the knees. What a simp. I bring Quacks out instead, but again, another one of my Pokemon finds himself the subject of an unwanted kiss. I bring Tricky back out and Jinx finally uses a move I can work with. A single Shadow Ball from Tricky is enough to bring about the downfall of this exceedingly annoying Pokemon. Good riddance. Bruno is up next, and I'm sorry to say that this is another snooze fest. Tricky only needs 5 Psychics to take out all 5 of Bruno's Pokemon. Easy peasy. The same exact story unfolds against Agatha, 5 Psychics, followed by 5 defeated Pokemon. Our first real test of the Elite Four comes courtesy of Lance. Spike leads off and unleashes a powerful Thunderbolt that drains all of Gyarados' HP. Lance sends out Aerodactyl, who outspeeds us and deals minimal damage, while Spike almost eliminates his opponent with Thunderbolt. Lance heals, and we are fortunate to paralyze Aerodactyl, which allows Spike to outspeed on the next turn and put his foe away for good. Dragonite somehow survives a 4x weakness to Ice Beam and unleashes an Outrage that almost knocks Spike out. One more Ice Beam, and Dragonite is ancient history. Dragonair number 1 is knocked out with a single Ice Beam, and then Dragonair number 2 decides that what we just did to his twin looks like a lot of fun, and demands we do the same thing to him, and we happily oblige. The only thing standing in the way of victory is the most difficult battle of the entire run. Because of how well it worked last time, I decide to lead with Spike again for this rival fight. However, the gap in levels has closed since the last fight, and I'm not confident that Spike can knock Pidgeot out in one hit. Unfortunately, this apprehension is proven right, and Spike pays the ultimate price. Poor sweet Spike. He's been with us since damn near the very beginning, and even though he wasn't always the most consistent contributor, he peaked at the right time, and quite literally saved us against Lance and during the last rival fight. Rest in peace, my king. You've earned it. In his place, I sent out Dude as I'm expecting the next Pokemon listed, Alakazam, but we are instead greeted with the worst possible Pokemon, Rhydon. Shoot, this is really bad. As I stress about what to do, I realize that I must send out a Pokemon that, you may have noticed, I rarely send out at all anymore during critical fights. My starter Pokemon, Bubba. No matter what happens, Bubba, I've always loved you like a son. A gigantic adult-sized son with a whole-ass ecosystem growing on your back whom I'm mildly concerned will eat me in my sleep. Upon switch in, Rhydon misses with the Rock Tomb. We then get a crit with the Giga Drain, which probably didn't matter, but nonetheless, one major crisis has been averted for now. Alakazam is up next, and I can't help but feel like my other Pokemon are too important to swap in right now. Alakazam sets up with a Reflect, while Bubba connects on the Sleep Powder. After 3 more sleep-filled turns, Alakazam has the last of his HP sucked dry, and I am absolutely pumped that Bubba has bested 2 powerful Pokemon in a one-on-one battle. Blue sends out his ace in Charizard, and I can sense how this is going to go, so I replace Bubba with Quax to take the likely Fire Blast. Quax shrugs off the Fire Blast like water off a duck's back, and makes Charizard pay the price with a vicious Hydro Pump. Executor then stumbles his way into battle and receives an Ice Beam to the face. Executor puts Quax to sleep, and I'm unsure what the next planned move is. Because of this uncertainty, I decide to have Quax stay in battle. Unfortunately, Executor explodes and takes Quax out with him. Poor Quax. You bested so many Pokemon in battle. You also tried to drown many more? I mean, you were a terrorizing menace. I was only able to dissuade you with the allure of that Avatar movie. No, not that one. That one. But why? Well, you're definitely going to hell, but I did hear The Last Airbender is mandatory viewing there, if it makes you feel better. Blue is now down to his final Pokemon, which can only mean one thing. It's time to unleash Doggo. A single Thunderbolt is all that is needed to dethrone Blue as champion, and we have officially completed this Explosion Nuzlocke. Explode Lock? Boom Lock? Might need to workshop that name a bit. If you like this video, please consider giving it a like, leaving a comment below, and subscribing to this channel. So yeah, let me know what you thought of this video, and if you'd like me to do something similar in the future. Maybe an Emerald Explode Lock? Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.